Warning! The episode you are about to listen to most likely contains graphic language, details of violence and murder, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. What's up, everybody?
Hello again.
Welcome to episode 18 of Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast where I talk murder with this lady that's sitting beside me who also gave birth to me. Hi, Mommy.
Hi, I'm the mother half, Christie.
That's for the first time listeners, I guess. No, yeah. Denika and Christie, if you guys are first time listeners, if you are, go back to the episode right before this, number 17, and listen to part 1. Because this is the second part of the story of the murder of Travis Alexander that was committed by his crazy psycho stalker ex-girlfriend, Jodi Arias. And yeah, so we are going to get to that story. How you doing, Mom?
I'm good. Things are still a little weird. We are still under some lockdown stuff. Not really lockdown, but still can't go to restaurants and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm good. Just continuing on. How are you?
Good. I'm totally in my health zone right now, right? As we are considered the same health thing, right?
Yeah, I think they ended up just making it the whole lower mainland because they didn't
Which doesn't make sense because I thought it was to stop transmission, and like if you look at like Fraser Health was like way more cases in like Vancouver Coastal Health. So
well, I don't think they wanted to Hunger Games at all of our districts.
Yeah, true.
And like to have checkpoints like set up at random places on the highways and stuff was just too fucking weird. So they just said anything west of Hope is one area.
Okay.
Except for the island. Like basically anytime you are going on a ferry or going over a mountain or
like recreational travel. It's like not out of your zone kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, so the weird thing is we're gonna look back on this one day, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can see the people that we love that live on the island and in the Okanagan again one day.
Which is like our whole family.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have moved here by myself in 1999 and came to this zone.
Well, you weren't by yourself. You were 2 children, so...
Yeah. Well, one was in the oven, but... Yeah, it's just very strange. I mean, my mom has planned a Christmas for us, and we thought we would have celebrated it already because last Christmas we couldn't get together. And she's getting frustrated and wants to send all the presents right now. And I'm like, just hold on a little longer, Mama. At least when you get your vaccination, we won't kill you when we see you.
You'll be safe. And then we won't have to worry and stress.
Yeah, so I'm doing pretty good. Just trying not to really concentrate on like the negative parts of it. And we don't really have a choice right now, so.
Good. Yeah, that's all you can do, right? Just be positive. Just worry about things that you can actually... do something about, which...
Eat, sleep, repeat.
There you go.
Eat, sleep, work, repeat.
Perfect.
Yeah, sounds like a recipe for fun. At least we have our little passion project, our podcast, and we get to hang out together every couple weeks and just focus on bringing you guys some cool facts and some stuff about murder.
Yeah. You're pulling me through this, Mom, with our murder talk. Well, with that, we will get right into the second part of the story of the murder of Travis Alexander.
It's a good one.
Bye, guys. Or not bye, but, just hang on.
911 emergency. Okay, that's 11428 East Queensboro Avenue in Mesa. Yeah. Okay, what's going on? What? What's going on? A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there. Yes, please, can you?
Hello.
Hi, so what's going on?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay. How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there was blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut his head?
It's all over the place.
Hold on just a moment. Okay. You're a good friend of Travis's, correct? Yes, I am. Okay. Yeah. Has he been depressed at all? Thinking about committing suicide? like that. And do you know the ex-girlfriend's name? Do you remember? Yeah. What's his ex-girlfriend's name? Taylor. And do you know if he's ever reported it to the police? Her name is Jodi. I don't know if he's ever reported. Hold on. No, he hasn't reported anything about Jodi's behavior. Okay, the tub is in his bedroom. I didn't go in, but from what I heard, his roommate went in. There's blood in his bedroom, behind the door, and then they went in the bathroom and he's in his shower talking to his friend right now. There's a girl that's been stalking him. And he's trying to right now some information. I hope my phone doesn't die. I'm on like 1 bar of battery. Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep you on the phone until officers arrive. Either officers or paramedics arrive, okay? Okay, I think I can hear the sirens now.
Okay, that was crazy. So right off the bat, the friends...
But yeah, right away, the friends are like, he's dead, and there's been a girl stalking him named Jodi, who's crazy.
Yeah, so clearly, again, nobody here is surprised.
No.
And when you are murdered or when something happens to you that's suspicious, they automatically look at your partner regardless if they're stalking you or not. Even like the most, on the outside, the most loving, caring partner, they still are going to try to rule out as a suspect, right?
Yeah, because the people closest to us usually have the most emotion and crimes of passion. They can tell right away when it's...
Well, and if any crime ever that I've ever heard of is a crime of passion, he was stabbed over 20 times, he was shot in the head, and he was almost decapitated with having his throat slashed. Yeah. That's a crime of passion there.
Yeah, it's extremely a crime of passion.
Extreme passion. So, she's Latin, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
she is.
Latin fire, I guess. Mom, you got a dog. A big dog, too.
I do. He's pretty big. He's over 100 pounds.
Do you ever take him anywhere and get, like, super stinky and, like...
Every single, at least second day.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not alone, that my dog likes to roll in the stinkiest stuff at the park. So, for those long, stinky car rides home, I just started using First Sense dog dry shampoo.
I also started using it, and it's awesome.
It's a lifesaver. So,
it is.
First Sense. They're on Instagram, Facebook, and go to www.firstsense.ca. First Sense, say goodbye to those stinky car rides home. So the Maricopa County medical examiner named Dr. Kevin Horn, he testified that Travis's jugular vein, his common carotid artery, and his windpipe had all been slashed. So
that's a lot of force.
Yeah, a lot of force. And so I think off the bat, it was probably hard to believe that it could have been this small, skinny little woman, because that's a lot.
Well, and apparently the first blow they think that would have killed him was a stab to his heart. And then there was evidence that he had been drugged down a hallway because there was blood everywhere. And there was a bloody palm print on the wall that they ended up taking the whole wall, a piece of the wall out. I saw it on a TV show. And it was Jodi Arias's actual palm print on the wall. Like
in his blood, right?
Yeah, both of their blood was on it. But the fact that this little tiny woman could drag someone that was dead down a hallway or dying is superhuman. That's crazy.
Well, he did have defensive wounds, but again, if she stabbed him right in the heart pretty quickly, then he wouldn't have been able to defend himself for very long before he bled out and died. And it probably would be much easier to continue to stab someone if they were dead. And then you have to be so fucking mad at somebody to shoot them in the head and then slash their throat. Like, you'd think after the 27, 28, 29, whatever, there's different reports on how many times, but over 20. It was over 20, yeah. And over 20 is more than enough.
I just can't even, when you get mad about something and you're, acting out and you're, hitting something or
it's like
whatever.
Usually 5 or 6 hits, you're kind of like, oh, I should fucking chill out. But clearly she
doesn't. Not even hitting a person, but, when you're even stomping your feet. Imagine, even stomping your feet
even yelling.
Over 20 times.
Even yelling. Even yelling too loud. I'm like, oh, shit, right after, and then it's like, that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, so you got to be severely fucking in a different space to be doing that.
Oh, God. Stuff. Well, so this was on June 10th, right? That they found him and that all that happened June 9th, June 10th, right? Around
Yeah,
that
and
time.
the last time anyone had heard from him was June the 4th.
Yeah. And
So it was
so,
5 days.
yeah, which again, if he's a very social person, he missed that meeting, you know.
I think like it was a bunch of young people living in his house. He had roommates living in his house with him, but when the girl that he was supposed to take to Mexico called because she hadn't heard from him and they were supposed to be getting ready to go on a work trip together, his
Mm-hmm.
friend was like, "No, man, he's in
Yeah,
Mexico."
that's, yeah,
Like,
like
I
he
guess
didn't
just
even
had gotten
know.
the dates wrong.
Yeah, and when you don't see someone for that you're used to seeing regularly, which is very out of character, you would assume, oh, he probably already went to Mexico because that's really out of character,
Yeah, and
and he
he, I
hasn't
think,
been home.
and I think he was like talking up the trip because he was excited to go, and the roommate just didn't pay attention to what date it was, and he was supposed to leave after that. So he was dead in his bedroom for 5 days,
Hmm.
and there was even a smell. Like as soon as they, obviously, he was
Again,
decomposing.
though, it's like, would you assume that that's the smell you're smelling, or when you live in a house with a bunch of fucking young people that they probably left some gross shit out that's rotting, and guys are just probably like, whatever, like stinks, the garbage stinks, or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, and obviously as an investigator, you're going to get to the scene and know that smell. But if you haven't smelt that smell before, I don't think it's a smell that you're like, oh, my roommate's probably just dead in his bedroom, you know? Like, what the fuck?
Well, do you guys remember the time that I told you there was a dead body in my apartment
You said,
hallway?
I smell something like dead.
I
Something's
said,
dead.
there's a dead body in one of these apartments. And I was living in an apartment with my teenage son at the time. And I said it for days. And everyone was like, yeah, right, mom. Like, haha, mom's so crazy.
Until Alex called you and was like, the coroner's in the
Yeah,
hallway.
until, mom, can you come home? The hallway's full of cops. And it was a poor, unfortunate man had expired in his apartment. And I
So
knew what that
sad.
smell was. Like, I knew what that smell was because I'd smelled it before.
That's so sad because that's really common, you know?
Yeah,
And
it is common.
oh.
But it's not common for someone to stab their boyfriend over 20 times, slit their throat, and shoot them in the head.
No, but I mean, okay, obviously I don't mean like good thing she shot him, but what happened was it's a good thing that she went so overboard because that was just putting more evidence out for them to have to link this to her,
Yeah,
right?
they said they had more evidence in this case than they've pretty much
It was
ever had.
overwhelming,
Yeah.
yeah. So what actually happened was, call this a coincidence, but on the 28th of May, so when Jodi stopped being a stalker in Arizona and decided she was going to move back to California because she was,
Moving back in
everything,
with her grandparents.
yeah, she wasn't able to really work there. Nothing was really going for her. And obviously Travis caught her sneaking in through the doggy door a couple times or whatever, and that just wasn't healthy, and she probably realized like, what the fuck am I doing, and I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But on the 28th of May, so what is that? 2 weeks? 2 weeks before his murder?
Yeah, not even.
Not even, right? She
7 days.
yeah, the house of her grandparents that she was living in was actually robbed and a 25 caliber gun was stolen. So that's one of the objects that was taken. So obviously, I mean, they're in a totally different state. So normally you wouldn't put those two together, but when your when your
Boyfriend is.
ex-boyfriend
Yeah.
is murdered and one of the murder wounds is a 25 caliber gunshot to the head, to the face,
Yeah.
then yeah, you're probably going to be looked at as like suspect number one. So,
Everybody right away, all of the friend group and everyone that had had any experience being around the couple immediately started saying her name like you heard on the phone call.
yeah, nobody was like,
Like no one
who
said
did
anyone
this?
else or oh my god. Yeah, it was all every single person said Jodi did it.
And again, you're always going to be looked at as the first suspect, but if you're stalking them, aggressively stalking them, and have a history of being aggressive with that, like, I mean, I don't think that anyone else would be on the suspect list.
So one of Travis's friends once again reiterated to go talk to Jodi, and she was living in California. So the police and went to California to Wairika, California, and interviewed Jodi. And she, of course, was denying that she had anything to do with it. They asked her if she was there. She said no, she hadn't been there. She hasn't seen him
She
for
called him, she left messages.
yeah.
So she said that she hadn't talked to him, and she
was on a road trip to LA and then she went to Utah. She didn't go anywhere near Arizona.
And in her interview too, you see the interrogation. Sorry, not the interview, because there's other interviews we'll cover that she did.
Yeah.
But this one was the interrogation, and you can see it's just strange behavior. She's in there for a long time, obviously, like they kind of like to make you sweat it out. And then she does stuff like she's like singing, and she gets up on a handstand up on the wall, and like she can't sit still. She has her legs under her. She's very, honestly, I'll give her, usually people are not that good at actresses. You know, you can kind of usually tell she is cool as a cucumber, like calm, cool, and collected.
Well, and at this point, when they went to interview her, they had all this evidence. They had the photographs of her and Travis that they had found the SD card in the washing machine, and they had photographs of them naked.
Like minutes before he was murdered, and then pictures of him murdered.
The camera accidentally kept taking pictures of him after he was murdered. And so the pictures that were before that on the camera roll were nude pictures of her staged, nude pictures of him staged. And this is all time-stamped and dated.
Because remember those good old, when you brought your... Because I used to bring my camera to parties, like around my wrist, and you can see on the, that's like that bright neon green color, like timestamp with a date. Like, it's right there.
You're supposed to be in your bedroom sleeping at this time. Good times.
Good times.
And so Jodi was saying, well, what do you mean? Of course I wasn't there. Are you sure it was me?
Yeah, because days after he died, she put up this big thing on like MySpace and Facebook, like basically pretty much like a Dear Travis, like I'm so sorry, I can't believe this has happened to you, and just all this stuff. And then she took it down a couple days later, because I don't know, obviously, I mean, if everybody's thinking you murdered him.
She's all over the place, but she was in denial. And then she finally admitted, after she said she wasn't there, and then she was faced with all the evidence, that she had actually been there, but that two people dressed as ninjas, basically dressed up, a man and a woman.
Masks, a man and a woman.
In masks, broke in.
First of all, she was invited to Travis's house. That's what she said. She was invited there by him. And then all of a sudden, two people broke in, and she said, like, I feel like shit because I left my friend there just to be taken by these, like, yahoos, basically. And it's
I fought them off, and they killed him, and then they put a gun to my head, but then they decided to let me go, and I just left. And the police are like, well, why would they kill him and just let you leave? Like, that never happens.
This Mormon salesman that just is like, has no problems with anybody else, but they're going to believe that he probably got two masked intruders to come in, and that's who murdered him.
She said, clearly they were after him. They just let me leave. But then the weirdest part about that whole thing is that she went to drive all the way to Utah after that to see a guy with the same MLM company that was a rising star also that she was just starting to date, and went and saw him for 24 hours.
And they made out.
Yeah, she made out with them.
So hindsight.
Yeah, like
for that guy, because
I just
imagine you just murder someone so brutally, someone that you've been stalking so aggressively, you murder them, and then you're like, la la la, going to Utah.
And like, you imagine that guy who she went to visit afterwards saying like, oh yeah, we made out, she was kissing my neck, she was really into it. Like, that is fucked up.
Yeah, and also a couple days before that, so before she even went, like, this is how premeditated it is. She repeatedly tried to contact her ex-boyfriend, and she kept asking him if she could borrow like jerry cans to go on a trip, and she was going to Arizona, she told him. So she never gave him those cans back. And she actually even, there's in Salinas, she went to one of the Walmarts and bought another jerry can. So, I mean, okay, if you're telling somebody you're going to Arizona and you're having all these gas cans.
And she rented a car. They asked her if she wanted this cool red car, and she said, no, I just want something like a little bit more nondescript. And she rented a car.
Yeah, on June 2nd.
And then got a bunch of gas cans so that she wouldn't have to stop and they wouldn't know she was in Arizona. She filled up all of the gas cans. They have video of her doing so.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then when she returned the car, there was what looked like red Kool-Aid is what the people at the rental car place thought. Because again, who the fuck is thinking this bitch just went and viciously murdered somebody
With
and
their
this
gas
is
cans.
yeah, and this is blood and the gas cans. I mean, I'll give it to her because she did really think this through.
But she
Didn't at the same time, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I feel like she thought it through, and then she just lost control because you
yeah,
could have,
like I can't
yeah.
imagine there's more evidence than there's ever been in a crime scene ever, and you actually premeditatedly bought gas cans, rented a car, did all this other stuff, but you just fucked it up.
Well, because okay, she bought things on her MasterCard, and then at the same time she used cash for other things in the same transaction. So she was trying to be sneaky. You see that sometimes where if you use cash and make sure that your face isn't seen, that's kind of what people do in, the typical person that probably knows how to commit crime. She seems like she was careful, but then like when it mattered, she wasn't. Like where it mattered, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
She was indicted on her birthday,
yeah, on
funnily
her
enough.
birthday. I know. Well, even after he died, she was like calling him and like because there's no way the way if you listen to let's play it.
I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction. Over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that. Only you were here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits. So fun. Tell you all about that later. Also, we were talking about, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused. But Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. I don't know when Team Freedom's event is, though, but, it's on the list, so we could do Shakespeare, Crater Lake, and the coast. So if you can make it. If not, we'll just do the coast in Crater Lake. But let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. End of message.
These are
Okay.
messages that she left on his machine after she killed him.
Hours after.
Yeah.
But again, there you can see her trying to build that case for herself. Like, because really, if I heard that and I had no idea, I would really think that she's going to go see Othello with him on July 1st or whatever she said in the message. Like, that she really has no idea that he's dead. Which really, I mean, obviously, if you're gonna fight for anybody and probably tell the truth for your own fucking life, yeah, okay. She's really trying to build an alibi. She's probably got so much fucking adrenaline, like, pumping through her body. She just, again, when you talk about killing somebody, it's not like she, like, ran them over with her car or something like that.
No, and she had enough adrenaline to drag a full-grown man down the hallway.
And you know that there was actually pictures of her. You know how they took the naked photo shoot and then it was like the pictures of Travis. It's a very creepy photo. It's like him looking right into the camera with like water running down and like he's looking right into the camera almost like scared, like he looks afraid, like he knows what's going to happen.
He probably did clue in by that point.
She probably took the pictures as she was like gonna like with the knife and everything, So obviously we'll never know because the pictures say enough though to me. But it seems that it was like the last picture she took, it looks like her foot standing beside his body. So it's like the camera, because it dropped, you think a photographer would know to fucking turn the camera off, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
And how creepy is that she's a photographer and that is, she chose to use him as like the last muse or something, like, ooh, so twisted.
The whole thing is super twisted.
Fucking twisted. So she was arrested on her birthday. So she was arrested on July 9th. And so the grand jury indicts her on first-degree murder. So July 15th, she was arrested at her grandparents' home, and she maintained that she wasn't involved in Travis's murder. She told the detective that she doesn't even hurt spiders. So she was then extradited to Arizona, and she was assigned a public defender to represent her.
And then she pled not guilty a couple days after that.
In September of 2008, she was interviewed by Inside Edition, and she said that that's when she came out with the story that 2 masked intruders, a woman and a man, these ninja-like killers, broke in and attacked her and Travis.
And she went on in that. I watched that interview and she was like, I have nobody else. God knows what happened. God knows I didn't do it.
Travis knows what happened.
Yeah.
Travis fucking knows what happened.
Travis knows the deal, man.
Fuck.
So she went on and on and on. Like, I'm innocent and
you can mark my words. The jury will not find me guilty because I
don't have
to
even worry about it. And the thing is, too, is that this created a lot of sensationalism because it had all of the good things in a drama-filled story. There was, you know, two really attractive young people, passion, religion, murder,
sex, lot of sex.
Yeah,
that's what it was too. It's because it's that religion and that sex mixed, right? Because again, you have to think in the courtroom, you have all of Travis's family, and then you have all of Jodi's family there, and people that are their reporters, and the reporters have never seen anything like this. This case is so sexualized,
and it was very groundbreaking too.
It was, and because especially the kind of evidence that they had against her was crazy. But then you see that, okay, nobody was expecting this. Jodi gets up as a witness. So everybody, like all the reporters are like,
I'm on the edge of my seat still right now about it.
Well, and you can see like Jane Vasquez, who's, what is she from 2020 or something, you know, CNN. She is like, oh my God, like we were all like riveted, and they're sitting in the courtroom and they're listening to her say things like, obviously, okay, she had that first story, right, where the masked intruders. First, she didn't know anything. What? Yeah. Oh my God, he's dead. Oh my God. Then masked intruders. And then it was self-defense. So.
And that was like 4 years later. Mm-hmm. Like she sat and stewed on what her best defense would be with the best defense lawyers. And 4 years later, no one expected her to come out with a self-defense.
And because now she's completely admitting that she did it. Yeah. And that. But it's like she never really gave an explanation, like, what's up with the overkill? He was attacking you, or whatever he said, you know, she said, is she was defending herself. But, I mean.
Well, Travis was a Mormon, and he wasn't supposed to have sex before marriage. And like I said to you before, there were rumors that he would only have brutal anal sex. Yeah. And he wasn't supposed to do any of this stuff, and he was brutalizing her in a lot of ways. I mean, she went along with it because I think she wanted to be loved so bad and they were so psycho together. But when you hear some of the things that they did, you know, it could be misconstrued as him having a lot of power over her.
Well, sure. The ways, even the professionals that were there that have analyzed this say, like, there was a lot of emotional abuse. There was a lot on his part. Yeah. There was a lot of, you can, okay, so in the court, they play this sexual recording that she had, which again, maybe points to premeditation, because why is she recording in the first place? Maybe that's what gets her rocks off. I don't fucking know. Maybe she wanted to listen to it, you know, whatever. I mean, my opinion is it was premeditatedly recorded, but it says, like, he says, like, I'm going to tie you to a tree and I'm going to fuck you in your ass. Like, really, you could just hear him just say it normal. And she's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. You're so bad. Like, I love it. Like, and so really she was into it. But again, there's that line of, was she into it because this is a battered woman and she's just going along with her abuser? That's how she was trying to spin it, right? She also said on the stand that one time she walked in on him masturbating to child pornography of young boys. So now she's completely, I mean, she keeps saying that she doesn't want to paint a bad picture of Travis because she doesn't want to hurt the family and stuff. But also, I think that maybe this was the defense tactic to try to villainize him to make it look like she was the victim. But
of course, and I mean, we don't know for sure because we weren't there if he was doing that or not. But they're just trying to create a reason that would explain what she did and some reasonable doubt that, you know, led others to believe that she was actually criminally insane at the time that she did that. Yeah. Which wouldn't be a far stretch because of the overkill.
Well, yeah. And no sane person does that such to a premeditated level and then to such a overkill of, like, it's crazy. Like, you hear about the more passion, the more, but it's like, what the fuck? Like again, you don't think you stop after the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, you know?
And like, I can't even imagine, like, how taxing that would be on your body. I mean, the fact that you're stabbing through someone that many times and you have to take the knife out each time, and I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So she took the witness stand for 18 days. And everyone was just, it was all televised. And everybody was just like glued to their TVs. I can totally remember. I think I was at the gym watching or something. Like, it was crazy.
Especially because it took so long. So it was like, okay, it happened in 2008. And then by the time 2000, what was this, 2013?
It was 2013 February when she was on the witness stand. So it was a long time after. And other experts came forward also. A defense expert testified that she suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder and amnesia, explaining why she couldn't recall much from that day. Prosecutor...
Which I totally do believe, because even if you went there with the intent to do that, after you do it, it's probably a whole other story of how you're feeling, right?
Totally.
That's you can't prepare. It's one thing if you're a serial killer and that's something that you like to do, and that you get off on that and you have a victim and whatever, a victim type and all that, but a killer like this, where it's someone that you've loved and you've been in a relationship with and at one time you were obsessed with and stalking and like...
Well, and she told everyone she was going to marry him and have his baby.
She got fucking baptized to be a Mormon. Like, she was like the most she's like so sexual, and that's so opposite of her personality type that she just, they dated for 5 months.
That's a crazy part.
That's what I mean. It's like, okay, I've been a little crazy with some boyfriends that I've had, but it was like multiple, my first boyfriend, and like, heartbreaking, and, but I didn't fucking stab him 30 times or almost cut his head off and then shoot him in the face. Like, that's...
And then drag him down the hallway.
And then, and then drive to Utah and make out with a dude.
I know.
That's just, it's just, I know you're not laughing because it's funny. You're laughing because it's so hard to wrap your head around.
It is, totally.
That it's like, what the fuck? Like, holy fuck,
Yeah, so another defense witness told jurors that she was abused by Alexander and suffered from battered woman syndrome. There was a paper brought forward by a psychotherapist that sparks a debate between her and Martinez over whether Snow White was an abused woman. So they kind of went off on a lot of tangents with that. And a prosecution expert maintained that she had borderline personality disorder.
Which, boom, I nailed it, because that for sure, 100%, just trying to make everything about you and how it's affecting you, and then for her to just play everybody so easily and without thought.
And she was giving interviews to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like, she was in the jail, like... It was totally indicative of borderline personality disorder, because she was, like giving interviews to all of the like national news shows and stuff.
Well, she knew that it was like a sensational case and she was being sensationalized.
Well, I forgot to say this earlier, but the very first day that they went to her house to question her, the first thing she said to the police, she was not surprised she was getting arrested. The first thing she said to the police was, "Can I just put my makeup on quickly?" Because she knew she was going to have mugshots taken, and she knew she was going to be on the news and all of that stuff.
That's crazy.
Like, that was her first thing.
That's what I mean. That's crazy that the first thing you can think of is that. Not at least sell it. Like, what do you mean I'm getting arrested? What? Like, freak out. Like, if you're, but just, can I do my makeup quickly? And she looks really creepy in her mugshot too, because she's kind of like
she had
smiling.
no makeup on.
And no, I mean, because
I'm just kidding.
I was like, no, because she even she's smiling in it.
Yeah,
like she's worried about how she looks.
Your grad photo.
And when she was arrested, she actually had different color hair than she used to have. Because remember, she used to have blonde hair, and she went from like this sexual vixen to like this like mousy.
Yes. Glasses, spectacles.
Yeah, like librarian.
Yeah.
Right? So after she made this big spectacle, and it was like the 2nd of May, so there was a long trial. I mean, it was a lot to cover, so you get that all the time when you have those pretty in-depth cases, and there's so much evidence to go over, and probably so much testimony, and so many witnesses. And I mean, really, if you think about it, there's probably everybody that could attest to all his friends. She's been stalked. There's that guy that she made out with in Utah after she did that. There's probably her family. I mean, I don't know if her family were witnesses, but it's probably a lot to go with everything and going through. She testified alone for 18 days, so imagine everybody else.
I can't even imagine. So the closing arguments began on May the 2nd. Prosecutors described her as a manipulative liar who had meticulously planned the savage attack.
And then her defense the next day had closing arguments that pretty much said that it was an impartial view of the case, and that his client, even if they didn't like her, they needed to find like her not guilty because it was a self-defense case. Basically, she had no choice but to kill her abuser.
Yeah.
Oh, one juror was actually even dismissed because they made statements that showed a bias, but because of this time, like the tabloids, it was so sensationalized.
Yeah, because she's given interviews to every single person.
Yeah, and so even after that, two more jurors were let go.
So that's three.
Three. So you don't hear, just this case has so many things that have never really happened before because it was such a spectacle. It was like so crazy. Everyone was so wrapped up in it. It was so fiery and great. Like, to even believe that someone could to do that to another human, let alone then be like, I didn't do it. Or
I can't even kill a spider, and then, I did it. But
yeah.
So the trial wrapped up, closing arguments wrapped up on May the 3rd, and the jury deliberated until May the 8th, and it was scheduled to be announced at 1:30 p.m.
So they found her guilty on first-degree murder. So jurors took less than 3 hours to determine that Arias should be eligible for the death penalty. So now it's pretty much the penalty phase where they have to see if they agree with her having the death penalty. So during that, prosecutors will call like Travis's family and other witnesses, and pretty much in an effort to convince these people, the panel, that Arias should meet the ultimate punishment of death.
And then she got up and begged for her life, that she should not be given the death penalty.
Which she does interviews before her trial saying, like the one in Inside Edition, pretty much saying, like, kill me, I would rather, death is the ultimate freedom, like, just kill me. If I had to choose to either stay here or die, I would rather die.
Yeah, but then when it came down to it, she wasn't as brave as she said she was.
No, and then they had a trial for her to basically plead. They had victim impact statements from 3 of Travis's sisters, where they basically said, kill this bitch, we hate her, she's ruined our family, she brutally killed our brother, in a nutshell. And then, this is the best part, Jodi is able to tell the panel why she shouldn't die. So then this bitch starts spewing off shit like, I'm gonna start a recycling program in the jail, and if I die, I won't be able to continue to donate my hair to cancer to make wigs. And the person that's interviewing her was like, don't you think this is all a bit trivial? Like, to look
comparison to what you did to someone else?
Yeah.
Like recycling?
Yeah, this is later, but anyway, I mean, they're going over the video of her saying that, and because right after she did this, she did an interview, right? So also she said that she was what else? She was going to teach Spanish lessons, and that she just all this stuff she could do in jail that could help other people. And it's like, okay, but you're missing the point that you brutally, savagely, horrifically murdered somebody
premeditatedly.
Yes, like very much so, and took photos of it.
Yeah,
that's like the one thing where there's that evil twist there, where it's like she could act like a victim, but at the same time there's no excuse to go to that total extreme. You could have just fucking blocked his number and stopped sneaking through his doggy door and stopped sleeping with him. Yeah. So on the 22nd, the jurors told the judge that they were unable to reach a unanimous verdict on whether Jodi should be sentenced to life or death. And the judge was like, nope, get back in there, you have 5 more hours, go and pretty much make a decision, because I'm not allowing that.
So jurors deliberated for about an hour more that day before adjourning. And then on May 23rd, they resumed deliberations. And they still could not agree whether to sentence her to life in prison or execution. So after 13 hours of deliberation over 3 days, the panel gives up and a mistrial in the penalty phase is declared.
Oh.
So another thing that happens that's unprecedented, really.
So because of that, Jodi, I think you would just be declared no death penalty if there's a mistrial because they've already found her guilty. She's guilty.
Yeah, it was in the different phase, man.
Yeah, whoa, mom just turned into a stone surfer. But yeah, I think that because she obviously was already sentenced, then she was.
She wasn't sentenced.
No, I
She
mean
was
not
waiting
sentenced.
for
She was waiting for her
sentencing.
sentencing and they wanted to kill her, but she didn't want to. But I feel like if there's a mistrial in that, that automatically means that maybe the death penalty should be taken off the table. That's what I think. I don't know. That was.
Well, we just found the information that in 2015 is when she was actually sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So I'm assuming they probably went over that again
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then took the death penalty off the table.
She did a couple interviews after, and again, these people were like, what you said was pretty trivial, like teaching Spanish, starting a recycling program, just in comparison to what you've done. And the interviewer was asking her the questions with quite an attitude because she's like, the guy was like, pretty much, fuck you, you're like a murderer. And she says, I didn't know you were such a hater. I would be doing this interview. But it's like he said to her, do you think you're the most hated woman in America? And she's like, no. She said she didn't want to have to paint Travis like that, but she needed to tell the truth. She was under oath, and just because she lied once doesn't mean she's still lying. And he attacked her, and she had no choice. Which I think just if you just didn't stab him fucking 30 times, and again, just the overkill
but then
is
the
just.
thing is that I mean we all kind of know someone in a different circumstance that has borderline personality and can never ever see their fault in stuff.
Yeah.
Like there are
Obviously,
quite
in
a
much
few.
downplayed.
Yeah, I mean
Fucking.
not with murdering people, but I mean don't you guys all have that one person in your lives that you can have an argument with that will never ever admit their
Yeah.
part in it?
Mm-hmm.
This is just to a greater level. Like she's actually justified within her own head the shit she did.
Well, and also when you have a defense team that is going to help build and see, it's probably feeding into your ego a bit to be like, see, yeah, this could be believable. Like, I
Yeah.
was defending myself. Because really, I think that the only option that someone would see as a defense team would say, did he do this to you? Did he do this to you? And if the fact that she had recordings of him saying he's gonna fuck her in the ass and and apparently he looked at child pornography and all this stuff, it's like.
Well, and I mean this it's granted the stuff that he was doing, I mean, he was a human being and he did not deserve to lose his life.
No.
But the stuff that he was doing really led up to them being able to use that as a defense.
Yeah, it was a little bit of gaslighting going on, quite
Yeah.
a bit of, there was some emotional abuse, like the experts said. And I think everyone in their first, because that was the first person I think that he was probably sexual with in that way. Almost part of him probably didn't respect her and thought all these things of her, like, you're just some dirty slut that lets me feel. She said he called me a slut, he called me a whore, he called me all these names,
Well,
a
and he had
bitch.
told his friends that he did not, like, at first, when they first got together, he spoke of marrying her and she got baptized and all this. And then once he started having sex with her, he changed his tune and he was telling his good friend, no, I'm going to find a wife that's pure and a virgin.
Which guys can fuck themselves really when they think that, because
Guys
you're
can.
the one that's making her unpure, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, obviously not in this case, as no excuse to.
I don't even get
that, but
whole thing, but it's something that's existed throughout time.
Well, I think it's
slut shaming.
It's a projection of self-shame, because
I
if a
guess.
man feels like that about someone, like, I don't know. That's just, how come a girl can't sleep with all these people and she can't be not
slut
labeled
shaming.
a slut, right? But a guy is like, ooh, you're a player, like, woo, get it? It's like, it's just, I don't understand that.
Get it.
Like, there's.
And the moment I say I'm gonna get it, there's people that just like look
Oh,
down,
God, right? Like
at the
another
family
one,
dinner. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you just.
I do what I want.
Yeah, no judgment. There's no place for judgment, except if you brutally murder your boyfriend and premeditatedly.
But that's why if you have like 6 boyfriends, you wouldn't concentrate on one enough to want to kill them.
No. So that's
It's
the
fine.
moral. The PSA for this episode is have multiple boyfriends.
Yeah.
So
Don't concentrate on one.
there you go.
Just kidding.
Just kidding, everybody.
Anyhow, yeah, so where's Jodi nowadays? She's in prison, obviously.
Yeah, so since she was found guilty in 2013, she's been moved.
She was sentenced in 2015,
Yes,
not
but
until
in
2013,
2013,
right?
she was in jail ever since then because she was sentenced.
Yeah.
But she has been moved multiple times. But as of 2020, she was in Perryville prison, which is in Goodyear, Arizona. Which, you know, it's good that they kept her in Arizona because then it kind of helps her feel like I shouldn't
She's
have
close
fucking
to
ever come to
Travis.
Arizona. No, fuck her being close to Travis.
Just kidding.
But you know, like I feel that she needs to really take a long hard look in the mirror. There was this thing I saw, I guess this artist, like a rapper did like a music video. It's like a music. It's pretty much a song about what happened. And so he was talking to her in prison, and there's like recorded phone calls, and she's like, fuck the haters. Like, yeah, she's very. Oh, she also, notably, she won a singing competition
Oh,
for
yeah,
singing,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
was it Holy Night?
Yes, in
Yeah,
jail.
in jail. So she won the, like, almost like jail idol or whatever, the jailhouse idol or whatever it was.
Well, she's an attention-seeking person.
One of her cellmates said that she's like a complete narcissist,
Yeah.
which, okay, I could have told you that, and I'm not her jail cell mate. So she obviously had some shit going on,
And
and
she's accepting visitors if anyone would like to go visit her
yes,
as
other
well.
people have Googled that. So maybe just fucking
Yeah, this case was a trip and a half. Like, you can see how it occurred, and the only thing you can't see is how far it snapped. Like, that was the part that was the most shocking.
yeah, and then everything because this is like the first time they've like okay, when has there ever been a recording of someone's like sex tape being played in court? You know, it was kind of like the jury was, or not even just the jury, witnesses, people in the gallows, everybody was
Gasping.
yeah. Oh, they were instructed they weren't allowed.
Oh.
They weren't allowed to gasp because they didn't want to, you know,
Influence the jury.
yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot of firsts in this case and a lot of evidence. So they had no shortage of physical evidence. The fact that she was a photographer and took photos of the last moments before she murdered somebody and then after while engaged in sex acts with them, I think that was probably something that was like, holy shit, like what are we even seeing? Is this real? You couldn't even write this shit in a fucking twisted movie.
No, it's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, I was really surprised by when we were doing the research what we actually found out and the stuff that I didn't know. I mean, I knew a lot because, again, this was one of the most sensationalized cases and it was very, very, very
Reported on.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everywhere you look, there's a lot of stuff. And again, she did a million interviews. So I think she's like forgotten about now, you know? And I think that's probably the biggest punishment that you can give somebody like this is almost acting like people forgot about her.
I think my prediction about the whole thing is that she'll pop up every once in a while for something with attention-seeking behavior, whether it's maybe a jailhouse wedding or writing a letter to someone or an interview for the anniversary of the murder, or she's definitely,
Or maybe
that's
you could
her
buy one
plethora.
of her wigs.
Yeah.
One of her wigs, she donates her hair to cancer.
Imagine finding out your kid was wearing a Jodi Arias wig.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's my take on it. I don't know what you think, but I think she'll just keep kind of trying to stir the pot and trying to get attention. That's how she rolls.
Well, you stay true to yourself, you
Yeah.
know? Like that's pretty much the kind of person she is, and I think you're right by saying that she's going to pop up sooner than later. And I mean, I don't know, it's crazy we always talk about this too, how people will write people like that and they'll start relationships, or you know, there's people out there
and
that
she's
have
attractive.
She is, but it's like to choose to be someone like this partner when you look at what they've done to their previous partner, it blows
It's
my mind.
mind-bending for sure.
Yeah. But that was episode 18, part 2 of The Murder of Travis Alexander. And thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys stay strong and stick through these restrictions. Hopefully they don't last past May long weekend.
And everyone that is in different areas, if we have listeners in the States or in different countries, I mean, I think everyone's country is kind of going through this pandemic a little differently. Canada is known for being pretty passive And we have all these restrictions, which the United States has never really had. Like, they've kind of enforced them once in a while when things get right out of hand. But everyone from the United States has been allowed to travel through borders and everything else. We've basically just been completely closed down for quite a while. I mean, you can take flights here and there, but when you come back into Canada, you have to quarantine for $2,000 in a hotel and get all these tests, and it's actually really weird.
It is. It's just a weird time. But again, the countries, and I don't agree totally with everything that's going on, obviously. I don't agree. There's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of like a lack of information, which it's almost, I don't like to think of our government trying to scare us on purpose, but obviously it's kind of hard to come to any other conclusion when, again, we're given numbers of all these deaths or all these cases or all these,
Every day we're fed with this info.
Yeah, and we're not actually given any other information about it. It's just, this is how many people are dying, this is how many people are sick, stay home. And that's kind of all we're told. It is weird, but I mean, I'm not going to drive myself crazy by thinking like, okay, the government's doing this on purpose, but kind of have to think like, when is too much? Like, when is...
Which team are you on in the Hunger Games?
Yeah. Are you fighting for your district or...
That's like, what's that show you like to watch?
Oh my God, and it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm so
and
excited. I'm going to go home and watch it on
called?
Crave. The Handmaid's
The
Tale.
Handmaid's Tale is going to be, I was thinking today,
That's legit what's probably going on.
Is going to be a little scarier now, because remember when it first came out and we're like, oh my God, that could never happen, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like so happening.
Well, side note, Handmaid's Tale is about like a post-apocalyptic, basically like not even apocalyptic. It's like the government was overthrown in the States with like this government that pretty much like rapes people and takes your kids away and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, it's getting more and more. Obviously, we're not going to cause hysteria, but it is crazy to think that like, 2 years ago, we would have never thought we'd be here.
Never! Can you imagine 2 years ago if someone would have told us
we're gonna all be in
we were
quarantine
going to be in our recording studio during a pandemic recording Murder with My Mother.
Because we're in a global pandemic.
Because we're in a global pandemic.
No, I wouldn't have believed.
No, it's like, I don't even know if we were really here.
No, maybe we aren't.
Maybe we're sleeping.
Maybe
those mushrooms we did in Asoyas in the summer were still fucking on the raft in Asoyas.
Well, that was our self-care for our first pandemic summer, so...
Mushrooms with my mother.
There you
We should have
our
done an
second
episode.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Write in if you want us to do some mushrooms and do a podcast. Just kidding.
Yeah.
We don't really do mushrooms. But
JK.
anyway.
JK.
Thanks again for coming back and listening. Hopefully it's not your last time.
Hopefully not, no. And yeah, I mean, that's the second part of a pretty fucked up case. So obviously we know you guys like to hear details of murder, and this case there's a lot of fucking details of murder in this case. So yeah. So
we'll be back in 2 more weeks when it will be my turn to choose a case.
Yep,
so
and it will be May. Your favorite month.
My favorite expensive month where everybody I know has a birthday.
Yeah, well, it is Mother's Day too, so you get a nice little treat.
Fair enough.
Little treat on Mother's Day. Maybe we'll even land on Murder with My Mother. Well, no, I mean, we'll record on Mother's Day maybe. No, I don't do that too.
We'll see what happens, but you guys stay safe, stay positive.
Wash your hands, don't pick your nose, and if you do, wash your hands right after.
And drop us a little line, a little message. Let us know what you're thinking. Reach out to us if you need someone to talk to.
Yeah, we're always here.
And we will talk to you later.
This has been Murder with My Mother. So next time, fucking join us for more Murder with My Mother. Like we haven't done 18 episodes of this, right?
Ramble.
Bye, guys.
Bye.